Together we are but first coffee. Susie's just our host, but what matters most is we are a team. Together we are all safe here, and so are you. Among friends and mods we are safe. We talk about trauma, break down drama of life, death, happy or sad, even mad. We discuss it all here. Together we will thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Together we fight cults or fight addictions, if not with experience, with love, and we don't judge. Please understand, this is a safe place to land. Please understand, you're not alone. This is a safe place to land. Together we thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Because we are but first coffee, and Susie welcomes us all here. Together we are but first coffee, and Susie.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Had to check to make sure my mic is on. I'm always worried about that, you know. I've only left it off a couple times. But anyway, how's everybody doing? It is really good to see you. Guys, it has been almost 2 weeks and I am still sick. I'm fighting it, and it's getting better. But man, I've got a headache today and just not feeling great. But I am happy to be here with all of you. I'd much rather be here with you than just sitting somewhere being miserable and all alone. So, how's everybody doing? I see some names that I don't recognize in the chat already. Not sure how to pronounce at least one of them. Looks like Mo Titties. I don't know if that's it, but that's a cute name if it is. Whatever it is. And yes, it is a sad topic. We are kind of talking about it is a sad topic, but also just infuriating. Absolutely. So I'm glad to see new faces here or new names. I wish I could see faces. Gosh. But yeah, I hope you come back and see us. We cover a lot of things. We talk about all kinds of stuff here, whether it is, like peer pressure or peer pressure. Well, peer pressure too, but peer support or, cults. We do a little bit of crime. We talk about all kinds of stuff, good and bad. Sometimes we kind of, topics all day, and sometimes it's fun, silly things or very just uplifting things. Like a really cool the next week, and another one the week after that. I'm really excited. My internet keeps flashing, so I'm not sure what. Anyway, good to see you too. Very good to see you being on. Heat my shoes here. Good to see you. Awesome. Thank you for being on. Is it you? It's not a fan. That is. Good morning from where you're at. It's evening here. I'm getting ready to have dinner after this. Leftovers. I made a big crock pot of potato soup last night, and I purposely make too much. And my husband complains because he's like, "You make too much. You make too much." But I purposely made more than what he thinks I need to make because I wanted to eat it more than once. But he's right. After a day or two, I'm just like, okay, I'm over it. There's usually some left, but I still, I don't know. It's hard to cook for just, two people. It's hard. So Eileen Bradley is here. Good to see you too. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely, Julia, you are right. If the subject that upsets you, it is absolutely fine to just come back and watch a different time. But thank you, Marilee, for letting me know about the sound and everything. James Ventura, you look great. Thank you. That's so sweet. He says he's doing well. Platinum player. I think I found my wife. Yeah, Marilee, it is a nasty flu bug. It sure is. Man, I just don't recognize how Dong Sneedman. What's up, dog? What's up with you, dog? Yeah. B's here. Good to see you. Gosh, lots of people here. Well, a lot of people here, actually. John is here. I'm buffering badly. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's not bad weather out there, is it, Mark? No, but it's been kind of doing that. So I don't know. Hopefully it'll fix because I can just imagine the faces that I'm making as it buffers. Yeah, the feed is a little wonky for some reason. I'm not sure why. Yeah, it is buffering. Yeah, it's wonky. Jody Hernandez says, "End the stream." Well, I don't want to end it because then it'll be over. Yeah. Marilee says she could eat the same thing every day. Drives her hubby crazy. Yeah. Ben says, "Oh, that's right. You are halfway across the globe." Oh, yeah. Julia says, "I love my taco soup. I made it the other day." I like taco soup too. I haven't made that in a while. I might need to make that. That's not very nice, Jody. I don't suck. I'm a nice person. You have no idea. Aw. Thank you. I'm a ray of sunshine and they love me. Hey, rocking it out for life. Good to see you. Absolutely. Okay, it's getting better now. Mare said hi, Mark. One of my mods, Mare. She said, yeah. Anyway, let's see here. Don't want to miss anybody, right? Oh, I love Italian food too, Julia. That's like one of my. I know everybody thinks that Mexican food, specifically cheese enchiladas, is my favorite, but really it's Italian. I because there's just so many different things that have completely different taste when it's Italian food. A lot of Mexican tastes the same, which I love it. Don't kid me. Don't let me kid you, but yeah. But I actually my favorite is Italian food. John said, "Hello, husband number one," because he's my work husband. So you're number one. Johnny said, "You need to start paying some of my bills." uh, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started because this has got a lot of information on it, and I do have my notes with me because I don't want to get any of this wrong. Because anytime you're dealing with legal matters, you don't want to get it wrong, right? So, yeah, in the interest of keeping my word that this was going to be a channel where we can talk about hard subjects, but that is going to be a safe place to do that. I do want to say, I'm not necessarily um, issuing a trigger warning. I don't know that it requires, an actual trigger warning. I have put it on the screen, that if this does trigger you to, watch another day. But remember the other day we talked about how things maybe they're not necessarily triggering, but they can activate you. They can, activate your emotions. They can, you know, it just hits you harder, when things are deeply emotional or scary or whatever. And that's kind of one of these things. This is one of these lives that, you know, I have no doubt that it's going to outrage you and probably disgust you and probably break your heart. It has broken mine. I've been following this case for for months now, and I finally I did do a live on it a couple months ago, but I've still been following it even since then, and I was following it well before that. So, y'all, as a mother that raised 2 daughters and as a grandmother that I have 2 teenage boys, grandsons, and 1 teenage granddaughter, and then I have younger, uh, granddaughters that will be teenagers before we know it, and I don't know, I'm just deeply, deeply bothered by the information that I'm gonna give to you, and, but it needs to be talked about, and, oh, if this is happening in Oklahoma, then it's happening everywhere, and I think that we really need to just pay attention, and maybe other places can learn something from whatever in the world is going on here in Oklahoma. So, again, if this is a subject today that you can't handle, then just step away and come back and visit with us on a different day. I mean, your emotional safety is always our priority. So, like I said, a couple of months ago, y'all might remember I did a live about the Stillwater, Oklahoma high school uh, athlete Jesse Mack Butler. And so let me just refresh your memory little bit on it if you were here then, and if you weren't, this will kind of get you up to speed a little bit. But you are also encouraged to go back. It was just a couple of months ago that I did the live, and I really got into in depth with it then. So I'm going to kind of not go quite as in depth with this one today. So, anyway, so I'm gonna refresh your memory just a little bit. Jesse Mack Butler, he was the then 17-year-old little rat bastard, if you ask me, that violently raped and strangled 2 of his teenage classmates, one of which was his girlfriend. Now, again, I'm not gonna rehash the whole story. Please go watch it, blah, blah, blah. But he was charged with 12 felony charges, including rape by instrumentation, attempted first degree rape, domestic assault, and battery by strangulation, and violation of a protective order. So, actually, of protective orders, more than one. And so, I mean, this was a serious, serious case. Okay, I mean, not that they're not all, but this one was bad. It was, particularly bad. Said, so I do want to also remind you that the strangulation that he did um during the act of raping his girlfriend was he actually strangled her until she passed out, then waited for her to regain consciousness and did it again so that he could video record it with his cell phone. So that's kind of, to me, just makes it even more heinous and horrible. So, anyway, according to the victim's daughter, who did testify at his trial, she was seconds away from dying. So he could have, I'm not sure why they didn't charge him with attempted murder because, I mean, it was, he got very lucky that she didn't die. And so, or yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he wasn't charged with that. And nobody seems to have that answer. So, anyway, this poor girl, she did require surgeries, plural, to get over the damage that he had done to her during that incident with her throat. And she, to this day, and for the foreseeable future, suffers from both long-term physical and emotional damage caused by that night. She's not back 100% as far as the physical damage that he did to her. So he was charged as an adult. I mean, he was 18 by the time that he was convicted by a jury trial. Anyway, but when the judge went to issue the sentencing, which was expected to be the 78 years that the jury recommended, the judge, which was Susan C. Worthington, somehow granted him a change to a youthful offender post conviction, y'all, and allowed him to change his plea from guilty to no contest. So, this violent sexual predator with at least 2 victims, and there were others that there just wasn't enough evidence to take it to trial. So we're not talking about just 2, there's more, but these are the only 2 that went to trial. But anyway, he walked away with 0 jail time. He did get 150 hours of community service. He can't have any social media, and he has to check in daily with his parents, y'all, until his 19th birthday. Now, by the time that this all happened, he was well into his 18th year. I'm pretty sure that he has made it to 19 now, and if not, he's very close. So, yeah, that's pretty disgusting if you ask me. So, anyway, when he turns 19, whether he has yet or is in the very near future, I mean, like, seriously, weeks, if at all, then, his whole record is wiped clean, and it's as if nothing even happened, and he's just back out there on the streets. No one's the wiser except for, the people that have followed this case and know. But, you know, just so you kinda know, Stillwater is kind of a little town. It's growing, but it's still a small city anyway. It's I don't know, it's not big. And if not for being the home of Oklahoma State University, it would probably still be very small because it has really grown as the college has grown. And living there in this town, Butler, he's kind of a big fish in a small pond, if you know what I mean. He's like a he's a big time high school athlete. Y'all in Oklahoma, high school sports and then college sports, it's way a bigger deal than any kind of professional sports. You don't hardly hear very much at all about professional sports, but high school sports and college sports, people are, I mean, it's crazy. It is in Texas too, and I'm sure it is other places, but I know that in Texas and Oklahoma, it is, I mean, these kids are treated like little gods, to be honest, at times. So anyway, he is a big time athlete and he is expected to get big time sports scholarships, including from Oklahoma State. And y'all come to find out his daddy, which his name is Mac Butler, and he was the long term director of football operations at OSU. And his mama and older sister reportedly currently still work for the university. And to top all that off, the judge reportedly has deep ties and is alumni of the university. And I'm not accusing OSU of anything. As far as I know, they've done absolutely nothing wrong. But some people that are connected to the college absolutely seem to have their hands very dirty in this case. And so, yeah, a lot of people are waiting and watching to see if this little rich, entitled, convicted rapist gets, a place on the teams there at OSU or where he goes or what he does. And there are some people that are not going to let this go. They are just not. And it has gotten a ton of local and even national attention. There's an investigation that's going on of possible wrongdoing by the judge. And I mean, it's it's something else. And in fact, this Judge Worthington, she suddenly and very unexpectedly retired from the bench. So we're gonna keep watching that one and see what happens. But if, like I said, if y'all want to hear the whole story of it, everything that I had at that point anyway, you can go back to the video that I did a couple months ago. But that was kind of a rough thing of it. So I did want to say that this, young man was arrested by the Stillwater police, and it was done. They they have since released the body cam footage of it, and it was done very respectfully and professionally. I have absolutely, no um no issues with that at all. Um his family and him, they did know it was happening. They were expecting it. It was not like that they, got a knock on the door and the police were there to arrest him. No, they knew that that he was, that it was happening. So, but I wanted to mention something that I this one sticks in my craw, y'all, and I think that it's a clear indication of how morally bankrupt his mama is. Okay? Now, first of all, she's been not nice at all to the victims, to the victim's family. There's been a lot. This woman needed her own charges as far as I'm concerned. But mommy was caught on the police body cam, not only saying, "Baby, everything's gonna be okay. I'll be there in just a little bit to get you out of jail. You're gonna be fine. This is all just gonna be a bad dream," blah, 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 blah. But she also went to the officer as he's arresting him and as he's walking him out to the car, and she was heard on the deal saying, "This isn't right. This is horrible. He's a child. Children should not have to experience this. It's horrid." Yeah, mommy. She's right, y'all. It is horrible. And a child should not have to have experienced him violently raping them, because there was more than one. And it absolutely is horrific or horrid or whatever she said. So, y'all, what I'm wondering is there any bets out there on whether or not this guy's going to reoffend? So, you might put ones in the chat if you think that he's going to reoffend. We're going to hear more about him. So, anyway, let's see here. But, y'all, sadly, as I'm sure you could tell by the thumbnail, that is not the only case of minor on minor rape in Oklahoma. And I want to bring to you some of the other cases. And I want to tell you that most of the details are unavailable, most of the names, all that, because these are dealing with minors. But I do have enough, of a few of the cases anyway, to show you how alarming this is, to show you why. I see some ones in the chat now. See you why, show you why I felt like this needed its own video. So, okay, in 2016, several Norman North High School wrestlers were charged with rape by instrumentation after two fellow teammates, ages 12 and 16, were assaulted on the team bus returning from a wrestling tournament. And just not to blame them at all, but I'm just going to add this in there that Norman is where the University of Oklahoma is located. So I can't help but connect dots on a lot of these, that it seems like that it is athletes near colleges and all, I'm wondering if that has any bearing on it. I don't think that's only it, and that is because I know of other cases that don't have anything to do with athletes, but the majority of them are with athletes. And I just think it's because athletes, they think they're big shit in these little towns. So anyway, now make sure I didn't miss anything. Hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. 3 of the boys that were named had their charges dropped because they, quote unquote, only, okay, held the victims while a 4th used his finger to penetrate the younger teammates. Now remember, these younger teammates were 12 and 16. He was charged as a minor, pled no contest, which is basically, saying I'm guilty, but I'm not gonna like argue it. They don't argue it. So, or I'm not gonna argue it, but whatever. Anyway, it's basically saying that they're guilty. So this kid was sentenced to 6 months probation. And of course, like this Mr. Butler from the earlier story, when he turns 18 or maybe 19, it was kind of hard to tell. Some of them would say 18, some said 19. I'll benefit of the doubt, I'll add the 19. His record was, it was already wiped clean, and because he was a minor, and it effectively never happened. It's not following him anywhere. I mean, minors, they have records that are, they're locked up anyway. You can't get to them, but you do know there's one. Like you can look and see that there's something there, but it just won't tell you anything. But yeah, when they expunge these, they're gone. It never happened. So with 6 months of probation. Now, in 2017, 4 Bixby High School football players sexually assaulted a 16-year-old football player. Bixby's kind of a big deal school for sports and stuff, and it is near Tulsa, which would also include TU or Tulsa University, which has a big football program. So, this particular attack, though, happened at the home of the Bixby Public Schools superintendent. So a bunch of these kids were at the superintendent's house because the son is on the football team, or was, and they were having a big party. So, I mean, Bixby, Mark said Bixby's number 1 in the nation right now in football. So, anyway, so I mean, it's a big deal. That's a big deal right there. So, and they're always a good team. This is not just they're good this year. They were good back then too. So anyway, according to the investigators, the teen was he was held down by multiple players while another used a pool cue, which is, if you don't know, it's a billiards stick. It is a stick that you use when you're playing pool. This pool cue was used to sexually assault this young child. So, not only did several teens watch the assault and did nothing, but at least one that we know of, actually recorded it on a cell phone. And the affidavit said that the victim had tried both before and after the incident to leave, but he was held there. It was like that they knew it was going to happen. It was it wasn't necessarily. He was probably scared. He probably caught wind that something was going on, but the kids that were keeping him from leaving, you know, they definitely knew something was going on. So anyway, it also said in the investigation in the affidavit that there was another incident involving the same boys was mentioned, but it didn't give any details about it. It just said that that there was another incident with these same boys. I don't think the victim was the same, but the perpetrators were the same. So, so in early 2018, four by then former Bixby football players, Samuel Lakin, William Thomas, Colton Cable, and Joe Wood. Joe Wood was the son of the superintendent of schools, were charged with second degree rape by instrumentation. Oh, sorry, guys. Instrumentation. Is Ben here? He always laughs when I mispronounce words. So, anyway, they were charged as youthful offenders, but their names were public because by the time that they were actually charged and everything, they were over 18. So, anyway, the district attorney, a man named Matt Ballard, he actually asked the judge that if these boys were found guilty in the juvenile court, that they be sentenced as adults because he said because of the the what the crime actually was and because of their age that the juvenile courts their way of punishing them would not be effective. It would not be good. A lot of it is because they will have aged out by that time, and so basically it was going to leave them with no punishment. So anyway, so he asked for that to happen. And the judge heard testimony from the victim and from witnesses and determined that there was enough evidence to proceed to trial. But then in January of 2019, when it actually went to trial, a juvenile court judge dismissed the rape charges. It was reported that the matter was being handled within the juvenile court systems, but of course I can't find any of that information except that I did find that Kyle Wood, the superintendent of schools, did resign his position as superintendent amidst public outrage. There was a lot there. I think he probably was in fear for his life. But anyway, again, here we go with another one. In 2014, an 18-year-old Tristan Cole Kilman Harden was charged with the rape of a 16-year-old girl. Y'all, this 16-year-old girl was so intoxicated at the time of the rape that even if she had been old enough to legally consent to having sex with this guy, she was physically incapable of it. Um, I was told, I was told that she was basically unconscious for most of it and that it was not consensual sex, it was a violent rape. So, this did happen near their Norman High School, again, near Oklahoma University, but I found nothing that was stating that he was an athlete, that stated definitively. Now, I saw where people said that he was, but I couldn't find anything that, as far as a legal document type deal that said that he was. It was just people talking. So, and of course this was in 2014, so it's harder to, to trace back that information and find out now. So anyway, this one also gained national attention because the rapist either text or emailed or something the victim a video of the assault after the fact. And so that's when she actually went forward and pressed the charges, because before she knew something had happened, but she was so out of it that she didn't really know exactly what had happened. But the video left nothing to the imagination. And there were also allegations that there was at least one other female that was a minor that he had also done this to, but that did not, he didn't get charged for that. Not surprisingly, he pled no contest. It seems like they all do. And which, I mean, he couldn't very well. I mean, it'd be very hard to plead not guilty when there's a video of you doing it that you actually made and sent to the victim. So now this guy was actually sentenced to 10 years in prison. But before you celebrate too much, 8 of those years were suspended. And much of the remaining 2 years was done as time served because he had already been in jail for part of that. He was on probation, and he does have to register as a sex offender for life. So so, y'all, what really gets me, this what is that right now, believe it or not, we literally have at least 4 current minor on minor rape cases in Oklahoma, all involving athletes. And most of it, I can't really get enough information to even bring it to you. I can't even, I just know that it happened, and I get told things from people that know people in the towns and all that, but that's just hearsay, and that's not something that I'm really comfortable bringing to you. But, yeah, right now, there's at least at least 4. So, anyway, that 4 does not include this last case that I'm gonna tell you about. This one is in a town called Sperry, Oklahoma, and in this case, 3 Sperry high school students are, accused of sexually assaulting another student with a hairbrush, and this was done on campus. They were charged with first-degree rape by instrumentation, but a judge dismissed the charges in 2025 because of technicalities in state law and something about how the minors should be charged. So, all I know as of right now is that the victim's lawyer has filed a lawsuit against the school district for failure to protect and for mishandling of the case. Now, again, we're talking about minors both as the victim and the perpetrator. So information is pretty tightly held down. It is hard to get anything. But one rumor that I hear constantly, and even from, I don't know how to, like, people that should know, let's just put it that way, are that is that the victim, he reported that the rape occurred with a broom handle. But they couldn't find a broom at the school or whatever, or wherever this, no broom could be found, or nothing that had any kind of DNA on it. And so they were kinda almost trying to act like that this kid was lying, because he said there was a broom and no broom was found, or no broom with DNA. So, but at some point, a hairbrush with DNA was found and is absolutely believed to have been what was used in the attack. So, I don't know. It's rumored too that the case is is being tried in a juvenile court system, but I can't confirm that. I I'm just deeply, deeply troubled by the constant cases of sexual assault by minors on minors in Oklahoma. And I didn't even bring you the cases of adults assaulting minors. There are plenty of those too. 2 in Bixby High School. 2. Recent. It is so disturbing. So, now if I was to have an opinion, and y'all know that I do, I believe that there is an increase of violent sexual assault by teens over the last 10 years. I don't know if it's because we are hearing more about them or what, but I did look back and try to, go for record searches and find, and it does seem like there is a big increase in the last 10 years. And y'all, Oklahoma sits right smack in the Bible Belt. It is massively conservative Christian Republicans. I sometimes feel like the only Democrat in the whole state, but I know I'm not because my dad's a Democrat. And, I know a couple of others, but man, it feels like we're all alone here. And I'm not going to go so far as to blame it on that, whether it be conservative Christians or Republicans. I'm not saying that. So, but I can't help but wonder that if we didn't live in a state that literally worships a grab 'em by the pussy president, and then to top it off, we have a governor who I hope is absolutely a bumbling alcoholic, as the rumors say, because if not, he really is as dumb and truly just, I don't know, belligerent, y'all, belligerent, and a bully as he looks like. So, as bad as it seems to say, I hope he's an alcoholic. At least that would maybe give him a reason to be such an asshole. I mean, like, this is a man that fires firemen because his house burnt down in a wildfire. It he's ridiculous. And I can't help but wonder if having those kind of people that we're supposed to look up to, I don't know. Anyway, and trust me, I know that Oklahoma isn't the only state in the union with a teenage rape problem. But y'all, in 2024, a study showed that Oklahoma ranked 5th as the least safe state to live in. That means out of 50 states, Oklahoma is the 5th, not the 5th safest, the 5th unsafest state. Y'all, we are little and we are hugely conservative Christian. And yet we are 5th out of 50 least safe states to live in. Y'all talk about burying the lead. That should have made the thumbnail probably, but I didn't think about it until after the fact. But y'all, I want to get your opinion. I do want to check with the starred comments and see what we got there. And this is disgusting. And the fact that right now we have 4 cases plus the one that I don't know what's happening with it. So that's 5 that I'm aware of. When you take into consideration that these are juvenile cases and they are very hush hush, they get shut down very quickly. And if not for having a very widespread, friends group that tells me stuff, I wouldn't know about most of this. And it's horrible. It makes me afraid for my grandsons. It makes me afraid for my granddaughter. they are homeschooled, so they're, out of the schools a lot, but they do go to a a trade school, like a vocational class, school, vo-tech they call it, and, it scares me. It scares me because this happens to boys, it happens to girls, it happens everywhere. We used to worry about if we went on a date and our date got a little handsy or something, and there is absolutely date rape. But these are gang rapes, not actual, gangs, but gangs of kids that are participants in it, whether they are actually committing the act or they're watching and standing guard or they're just, not telling. And it's absolutely horrible. So I do want to check with the chat and see what y'all are saying. Thank you, Jan, for starring some comments for me. You are right. We do have to believe women when they tell the truth, and young girls and young boys. We have to, we just have to start believing victims and taking this very seriously. Absolutely, you are correct. Ben says he needs jail time and he will offend again. I have no doubt. I have absolutely no doubt. If you have, I should have put up some pictures of him. He is a smug little asshole. He looks absolutely like a little smug asshole, and his mother and sister act like that they are, the Queen of Sheba, I swear. Now, the dad, I don't really hear too much about him. He seems like he's kind of, not he's not wanting to have a whole lot to do with the whole thing. And y'all, I don't blame his family for supporting him. If my children ever did something horrible, I would still love them. But I would not forget that there was a victim, that there were victims. I mean, her saying that a child should not have to experience being arrested, well, he wouldn't have had to. He made that choice. He chose to be arrested. Now, he did cry like a little girl, begging, begging the victims to not call the police. I give them kudos because for young girls, 15 years old, to turn in a big shot at the school, a big shot athlete in a school, especially any size school, but this was a school where everybody knew everybody. So for these girls to actually go through with this, I just I think they're just pretty awesome. I really do. Ben says his disgust towards women and having his power challenged leaks out of him. Absolutely. Ben's seen pictures of him. I have posted them well, there's some on that other video too, but I've posted some in my chat. And Ben, he's one of these that he goes and looks for himself, and he went and looked into a bunch of it too. So yeah, it's horrible. Indigo says, or they see a situation like Brock Turner where rich parents pay off someone for a lesser sentence and the thing that they get, oh, yeah, yeah, and they get away with it, absolutely. This is another thing, he's very wealthy, or his family is. He's probably not got 2 dimes to rub together, but his family is very wealthy, very respected in the town, or they were. I'm not sure how respected they are now. Word has it that they've actually sent him to live with an aunt or someone in another town, and I'm like, poor girls there, hopefully they know. And now I don't know, but I have been told by very good sources that he has continued to find ways to harass these victims. Even, don't you think that honestly, if I did something horrible and I got away with it, I would be like, I am not, you ain't gonna catch me doing nothing wrong again. I'm gonna be, as clean as can be for the rest of my life. This little rat bastard is still out doing stuff. He's still finding ways to harass these young women. It's ridiculous. Julia says sometimes the offender can be rehabilitated. However, once an offender has the taste of doing something violent, they do reoffend. And especially the ones that get away with it. Maybe if he was held accountable, that's what I said in the first video that I did about him in particular, this Butler kid was, we've got one kind of in this adjacent to this community, Tommy Scoville, legal name Brett Miller, that did kind of the same thing when he was in high school. And he has been nothing but a career criminal, con man, and God only knows what else. He's over 50 years old now and he's still up to the same bullshit. But, it's because they're not being held to accountability. I think that if they're held to accountability, I think that maybe they could be rehabilitated. But even then, I'm just not even sure. But yeah, especially in a violent type situation. Anyway, Eileen says, still no reason to idolize them to the point that they get so entitled that they think they can do what they want. Absolutely. Absolutely. We are creating little monsters by making these high school and college kids. I could do a whole other deal on some of the college and some of these college athletes in Oklahoma that have done some pretty ridiculous things too. And there's a lot of really good ones. I'm not, it's not like all athletes are horrible. They're not. There are a lot of, they're just, normal people. But they think they can get away with it because they think they're a big shot. So Julia says the story is so sad. Victims do get traumatized to think that it could have been their fault. Yep. This is why some victims don't come forward. You're absolutely right. That's why I commend all of these young victims that came forward. All of them. And to that poor boy I'm sure he didn't purposely say that it was a broom, when in fact, I guess it was a brush. But to have just a mistake like that he didn't know, he was probably just going by what he felt and or where they were, that kind of thing. But it almost makes it like it's his fault because that was part of why there was, charges were dropped and stuff was because he had, misidentified a weapon kind of deal. Yeah, he should have resigned. He knew the rape was charged in juvenile court. He should have resigned immediately. Well, it was very quickly that he did. He was not the superintendent very long at all because I'm telling you, more power to them. People were outraged. B says maybe if laws are stricter instead of all these rights, ancient Chinese law, they'd think twice. Absolutely. Yeah, it really gets to me because so much of the time the offenders actually have more rights, it feels like, than the victim does. And it's just it's awful. And I was talking to a friend of mine that's a former superintendent and he we were talking about something different, but anyway, we were talking about the whole thing in Minnesota. But anyway, he said that his sister was murdered by her husband in, I think, 1990. He shot her 6 times. And that in the trial, they never tried to prove that he was innocent. They tried to prove that she deserved it. So, yeah. That kind of goes with what B said there. Marilee says, I agree, B. It's a fine balance between the rights and the protection of the victims and the rights of the perpetrators. Absolutely. I think all of them need to have rights. I'm not saying they don't need to have rights, but, you know. Jan says there was a 1989 case here in New Jersey where 3 boys assaulted an intellectually disabled 17-year-old girl. All 3 offenders, football players, did time and cannot clear their names. Good. Good. I am so glad. It's absolutely horrible that it happened, but good. Marilee says, I feel intense rage about cases like these. I do too. I do too. It makes me sick too that this is happening. I know it's happening everywhere, but Oklahoma is just such a small state, really, and it just these are all places that I've been, and it's like I wonder, have I crossed paths with these guys? You should see me when I go to Stillwater. We go to Stillwater almost once a week. We haven't as much lately, but we for a long time we did. And oh, I mean it, for a long time I was constantly watching to see if I saw that little rat bastard somewhere. And I don't know that I would have been able to keep myself from walking up and just slapping him. And then I'd have probably been in jail and he would still be a hero. So, but I would feel better. Right now, since he's, over age, it would just be a simple assault. It would just be a misdemeanor. Hmm. I'll say it, any culture or religion that teaches boys that they are superior to girls is a breeding ground for this behavior. I agree, Eileen. I really do. And I'm telling you, I really do believe that a lot of the churches and our government here in Oklahoma, I think that it is teaching that to young boys. Ben says one of the state legislatures got in trouble for it, and a senator a lot of people seem to like, for some unknown reason, stuck up for him. Yeah. You don't even wanna get me started. Ugh, yeah. You know what is so funny is nobody in this state, I don't know one person, and I have friends all over the whole state and all over, you know, politics, from very, very conservative to very, very liberal and everything, and nobody likes our governor, but he got reelected. The one we had before him, everybody hated that woman with a passion, but she got reelected. And it's the same thing with our senators. I never thought that Mullins guy would ever get elected because everybody hates him. He's a crook, apparently, in my opinion, according to rumor. But yeah, he's awful. But yep, I laughed my ass off in the whole insurrection because I thought he was going to piss himself. He was so scared. I was like, good for you. Oh, I can't stand that man. So, yeah. He learned that behavior somewhere, though, and it doesn't have to be at home. I would be willing to bet this isn't the first time it's happened. I would too. I would too. And yeah, there were other girls, but like I said, they, for whatever reasons, either they wouldn't testify or there wasn't enough evidence to take it to trial because, that happens. Um, they don't want to risk losing the whole case because a couple of the uh, parts of it are weaker. So they go with what they think is going to be strong. And 78 years was what everybody expected him to get. That would have been a really good sentence for him. He learned this behavior from his own mother, from not teaching him right from wrong. I kind of agree. You could tell this woman babies him, like makes him think that his shit don't stink. Ben says, and getting him out of trouble over and over again. Absolutely. The victims don't have any rights. It feels that way sometimes, doesn't it? Ben says, yes, there needs to be a mandatory registration at a minimum. Absolutely. I mean, at least the other guy that got the 10 years, but 8 of it was suspended. He has to register for his entire life for something that he did at 18. The rest of these should have to do that too. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. It is not right. Julia says there should be no statutes of limitation on sexual assault or rape. I agree, especially when it has to do with minors. Yeah, and these are the only cases where victims have come forward. I guarantee you there's a lot more that haven't come forward, especially when you're dealing with big shot athletes in the school systems. I guarantee it. Like I said, I didn't even cover the ones that are adults on minors. I very well might. And the college scene is crazy. It is crazy. So, yeah, Julia says, just imagine how many people don't come forward for fear of doing so. Absolutely. So, anyway, well, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and go. My tummy's growling. I'm going to go eat some more soup and maybe watch a movie. Y'all gonna laugh, but I watched another Christmas movie last night. I started watching those in July and I apparently haven't quit. But this one was so cute. It was really cute. And I'll have to figure out, I can't remember the name of it, but it was Merry Xmas. It was called Merry Xmas. And it had that girl that was on oh gosh. I can't remember. It had 2 different ones. The one that played the witch, and then the other one that was, what is the name of that show? Anyway, a couple of girls that were, teenage stars back in the day. And yeah, much love to all of you. Thank you so much. I want you all to have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. Please, if you have any comments, please put them in the comment section after the live. If you have a channel, please put a comment in the comment section after the live and say, hey, I've got a channel. Come check me out. All they have to do then is click on your picture and it will take them directly to your channel and they can subscribe to you. That's how I got some of my subscribers. And I like to, offer that to people, especially people that are just starting out. And it really helped. It really helps. I think that we all need to support each other and get some good content out there. So I'm going to go and I love you guys. And I'm going to take, today is Thursday, right? I won't be back that I know of until Tuesday, but I might come back over the weekend, but I'm not scheduling anything until Tuesday. I'm going to spend some time with the husband. So anyway, I love you and I will see you all soon.
Hope you enjoyed the show, so glad you were here. We meet here most days, we're but first coffee and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't want to miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't want to miss a show, because 'cause this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to